Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas Kim, Chair-elect of the Law Student Division, and here we have Kathryn Redmond and John Weber for Delegate of Communications Candidates Q&A. And thank you, Kathryn and John, for coming. And once again, this Q&A is for position Delegate of Communications of ABA Law Student Division. I would like to welcome you two, as well as all of the listeners and the folks who would be listening to this recorded version of this video. I would like to ask Kathryn first, and then John can respond. This is just intro your name and school, and then I will talk about the questions that I'll be asking, and then we'll begin. So, Kathryn, could you tell us what your name and school, please?
Yes, my name is Kathryn Redmond. I am a rising 3L at St. Louis University School of Law in St. Louis, Missouri.
Thank you.
John. And my name's John Weber. I am also a rising 3L at the University of Louisville's Brandeis School of Law.
Thank you, Kathryn and John. We have some questions, general questions, as well as some specific questions that pertains to the position. I will be asking question one by one, and first question I will ask Kathryn to respond first, and then John, and then for the second question we'll alternate so that John will be responding first, and then Kathryn. Each response will be capped at 1 minute, and I will let you know when you go over, and I ask that you two respectfully keep a 1 minute cap. Okay. First question, Kathryn, is what previous leadership experience do you have within and outside of the ABA?
Within the ABA, I don't have any previous experience outside of just involvement with SBA at my school. My 1L year, I was part of the planning committee for a barrister's ball, and then last year I served as a BALSA representative for SBA. Outside of ABA, last school year I was the BALSA, which is the Black Law Student Association, president at my school. The year before that I was the community service chair for BALSA. Additionally, in undergrad, I was the president of my chapter of my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and then just various other different volunteer organizations in St. Louis.
Thank you. John, the same question for you. What previous leadership experience do you have within and outside of the ABA?
Thanks, Thomas. So first, I got involved because the SBA president at my school was looking to get more ABA involvement with our campus broadly, and identified me as somebody that might be interested in pursuing service in the ABA. So I started as a circuit governor, was actually the last of my kind, and I led and worked with law students from Kentucky and Michigan and Ohio, 18 schools there. Then I went on to serve in the position where I currently am, which is in the ABA House of Delegates. So I have experience both inside the Law Student Division, serving on our council, as well as representing the Law Student Division within the greater ABA. And I think that that's a strength that I bring to the table because I know what is expected. I have learned things throughout the last couple of years that I'll be able to implement and continue the work that I've done during my time in law school.
Thank you, John. Second question, this one, John, first. Why this particular job and not the other Law Student Division positions? As you know, there are a number of other positions that were posted. So the question is, why this particular job?
So this one interests me. Again, one, I am currently a delegate, and so I'm not speculating when I say I know that I'm interested in the position and that I believe that I will be a good delegate for the upcoming year if elected. But the reason to me is because it's got a dual component. And, you know, as Thomas, we discussed about running for other things like chair or board of governors or something like that. This position it appeals to me because it is dual facing. You have work inside the law student division, but you're also doing really important work with some incredible people from all across the country outside of the law student division. So I like representing law students, our interests, and the things you know that will make a concrete difference to law students with the greater ABA. The House of Delegates gives you the opportunity to do that. Again, and to me, the scale and the importance of the things that you will can accomplish in the House of Delegates is what makes it all worth it.
Thank you, John. And Kathryn, the same question for you. Why this particular position and not the other law student division position?
I think that this position is unique in its ability to bring more law students into the fold. I think that we live in such a digital age right now, and I think that the things that kind of catch law students' eyes are things such as the magazines, the podcasts, things like that. I think it's important as law students that we start to kind of hone in on that ability to balance things while we're in law school so it can prepare us for practice. And I think that working as a representative for law students in this position as well as in the House of Delegates is something that I can bring my background in social work and nonprofit to just kind of bring a new, fresh perspective, new ideas, new ways to get law students involved in the process.
Thank you, Kathryn. And the next question for Kathryn first. What is the most serious issues facing law students that you would like to tackle within the ABA Law Student Division in this role?
For me, I think one of the most important things, one of the things we face now is just understanding how, as we enter into this profession, how we can both be new lawyers, learning the profession, learning how to do it well, and still stay involved in the community and involved in what's going on in the world. And so something that I would be interested in doing is, again, just kind of bringing those topics of conversation, whether they revolve around the political climate, around social justice issues, just things like that, to just make more students aware that you don't have to wait until you are, 10, 20, 30 years into your practice in order to kind of reach back into the community wherever you are. That's something that I'm passionate about, and it is something that I've discussed a lot with my classmates, my colleagues, students from other schools, and so that's something that I would like to bring to this position.
Thank you. And John, the same question for you. What is the most serious issues facing law students that you would like to tackle within the ABA Law Student Division in this role?
Yeah, I think that those are all well said, Kathryn. And to me, I would just take it in a little bit different direction. Not that one is necessarily better than the other, but to me, it's about getting out and getting a job, because so much is involved in that. We've got a lot of student debt. That's a big issue right now. That if you were to ask law students from across the country, I guarantee you would come up as one of the first things that they would say. And so with that student debt, we need to find ways to pay it off. And we can do that in a couple ways. And this is, again, when I talked about making real differences, making real change for law students on a day-to-day basis, and then for the long term, this is a way that we can do it. So you've got the UBE. more than half of the states in this country have adopted the UBE. It allows for law students to graduate and to practice in a number of different jurisdictions. They can follow a job rather than have to go into a state where maybe they get a job, maybe they don't. Paid externships, being able to have the opportunity to go make money while you're in school rather than paying tuition.
Sorry to interrupt you, but sorry, that was time. So
okay.
Yeah, thank you for the response.
Thomas, can you tell me what the card means?
Oh, 1 minute.
So 1 minute. It's time when you hold it up?
Yeah.
Got it.
Sorry, my bad. I should have clarified. Yeah. So instead of doing a 50-second warning, I will just have 1 minute so that when the card is up, that's 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. The next question I will ask John first. Sorry. Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was for John. Yeah, because John just finished. What kind of research did you do about the role you're pursuing? Did you speak with anyone who currently holds or has previously held the office you seek? Or although it's a bit unique because this position hasn't been around. But have you talked to someone who held positions in the law student division? Why and then also why are you best suited for this role, tying with your research?
Yeah. So again, I'm currently in the role, so I've talked to myself about it. Yes. The answer is yes. In the ABA, there are so many people, and one of the strengths, to get to your second question, why I think that I continue to make a good candidate for this position is because I do have the network of people that can help inform me what to do. And I've made, I've learned throughout the last couple of years, and so I've grown on that experience, understood how the organization works, interacted with staff, with high-level leaders. I mean, I've not about this position in particular, but I've talked to the ABA president about law student issues, the ABA president-elect, the incoming president-elect, or whatever the third one down the line is. So yes, my network within the ABA is something that I consider an asset and helps me enter this position fully informed on what the expectations are. Now, like you said, dang, I always run out of time. It's a new position, so we've got to figure that out too.
Yeah, thank you, John. And the same thing for you, Kathryn. What kind of research did you do about the role that you're pursuing, and did you speak with anyone who currently holds or has previously held this office you seek? And in this case, since it's a new position, once again, someone from the law student division, with an officer capacity. And tying that, why do you think you're best suited for this role?
So I kind of have the opposite experience. I, outside of my own just researching, reading the position description, and kind of getting a feel for what the options were out there, there are not many law students from my neck of the woods who are involved in the ABA, and so that's one of the things that I hope to change. My first real experience participating with the ABA was at the judicial clerkship program at the mid-year meeting in Miami, and it was just such a wonderful opportunity to network with other law students, network with judges and different legal professionals, and I think that that's something that really lended a lot of value to my personal development, and I would like to help other law students kind of get their arms around that. In terms of involvement with the organization as a whole, I have spoken with a few people who are involved in the Young Lawyers Division, and they had nothing but positive things to say about it.
Thank you, Kathryn. And the next question is for you, Kathryn, and John after. What do you think was the most valuable or significant issue that the ABA Law Student Division had this past year, and why?
I think there were a lot of things that really resonated with me. Like John spoke to earlier, I think we're all going to law school to get jobs. And so I really appreciated a lot of the things that the law student division sent out in terms of job preparation, whether it was announcing fairs, help with resumes, things like that. I really appreciate that. I think the law student division goes to great lengths to really put out there the tools that law students can use and really need to succeed. It's really difficult to navigate the legal field if you are like me, a first-generation law student, and you just don't really know what's out there or where to go. And so I've just really found a lot of helpful resources within the law student division, everything from knowing when I'm supposed to take exams or MPREs or what the UEB is. Yeah.
Thank you, Kathryn. And John, the same question for you. What do you think was the most valuable or significant issue that the ABA Law Student Division had this past year, and why?
Yeah, so I will offer my perspective as you know, being able to work on some of these issues. And I think wisely, the first thing I should probably say is the undocumented student resolution. Just for your benefit, Thomas. But seriously, important votes in the House last year around civil rights issues and immigration and rule of law and things like that last year, and then the undocumented law student resolution that we'll be bringing to the House this year is very important. And then that's more on the law student division as a whole. More me in particular, and the experience I've been able to have would be talking to a state Supreme Court justice, Chief Justice, about expanding the UBE, or to professors about offering, and deans about offering paid externships on their campuses. Those, again, big issues with very influential people that want to know what law students think. And so to me, that was a way to have a concrete difference in the work that I did.
Thank you, John. And then I have a few more questions that are this position specific. And once again, I'll continue with the same order. So this question for John first. What systems would you put in place to ensure that we generate a steady stream of engaging content?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to note that we need to build upon what we've done already. Adam Music, the staffer who works on Before the Bar blog, has done a phenomenal job, won awards for the work that he's done. And I've been able, one of the things that I think we can do in that is get students from across the country to submit things. So I've submitted things, Thomas, you've submitted things, but I've also gotten friends or law students that I've met throughout the process to submit something to him as well. You know, on gerrymandering was an issue that should be coming up shortly. Relevant legal issues that drive traffic, that make people actually want to engage with the ABA and with the law student division, get them on our site to where they can then see, oh, there's leadership opportunities, or various things like that. And of course, I have to mention, you know, our student lawyer publication, that they did a wonderful job on that as well. And it's important to keep great content because it touches tons and tons of law students in the law schools and in their homes.
Thank you, John. And the same question for you, Kathryn. What systems would you put in place to ensure that we generate a steady stream of engaging content?
I would probably echo what John spoke to. I think that just continuing to build on what's already there. One of the things that I completely agree with John, I think that reaching out to more students to get them to submit ideas, I think it would be an interesting and kind of selling point to kind of highlight different students and what they're doing around the country. I know that just within Missouri, there are 3 different law schools, and hearing what students are doing on their campuses, whether it's being involved in local politics, whether it's working the work they do on clinicals or things like that. I think that maybe having like a member spotlight or something to just, again, send that message that you don't have to wait until you are 10 years into your practice to become involved in the ABA, kind of getting people to get connected earlier. I wish I would have been connected earlier. So those are some things that I would continue and maybe start.
Thank you, Kathryn. And this question is for you to begin with. What issues do you think the Law Student Division should be a thought leader on?
I think for me, my passion is social justice. I think that especially the way there are just so many areas in which law students can be involved, from healthcare reform to immigration policy. There are just so many things, and so I think that this is what movements are made of, right? Is young people, fresh ideas, excitement, and I think, again, it's important for us as law students. We spend it seems like a long time, but 3 years is really not that long to spend in law school, but to be able to generate new ideas and feel empowered and lend manpower to voter registration or going out and canvassing or whatever the case is. I think that that's something that we should be at the forefront of giving other law students the tools to be engaged in the community.
Thank you, Kathryn. And the same thing for you, John. What issues do you think the Law Student Division should be a thought leader on?
Yeah, I think we've got a really unique opportunity, and I agree with what you're saying, Kathryn. But to me, I would almost tailor it a little bit more to be law focused. So barriers to legal access or to legal education, as a civil rights type of an issue. But something that we know and that we experience on a day-to-day basis. Other things, and I've said it already, but the UBE, the ABA, and the state bars are not going to change policy without Law Student Division support and advocacy. We are the ones that they want to hear from. That's a big issue. Public service loan forgiveness. We need to lead the charge on that. Fortunately, the Law Student Division has spoken a lot about it, and the rest of the ABA has caught on and is talking about it. But those types of things that are unique to law students, we have to advocate for ourselves, because if we don't, nobody else will.
Thank you, John. As you two probably already know, our Student Lawyer magazine is very important to us, and it's an essential part of the Law Student Division when it comes to communication. So the question is, for you, John, first, what ideas do you have to promote the Student Lawyer magazine and as well as the Before the Bar blog?
Yes, so I think I would echo what I said before in getting students from all across the country, a diversity of opinions and backgrounds to contribute and to have their voice. We can be a platform to other law students' voices, but also get big name people in there, like they've done in addition to the two that you mentioned. If I may also say the podcast that Chris Morgan led this year. He did one with Linda Klein, president of the ABA, on public service loan forgiveness. But also bring in community leaders or big-time national leaders. Again, something that is a value add for a law student in the busyness of everything that comes across your social media and your email and all that, that makes you stop, makes you click on it. And once you start driving that traffic, again, capitalizing on it, so that we can communicate the good work that the Law Student Division is doing, and how, I keep going back to it, but how we are making a difference for those law students. And so when they realize that we're out there advocating that, wait a second, we're actually going to impact your student loans or the debt that you've taken on, now that is what makes our organization sticky.
Thank you, John. And the same thing for you, Kathryn. What ideas do you have to promote the Student Lawyer magazine and the Before the Bar blog?
I think, like I said before, I think it would be a selling point or a thing to draw more readers in, to maybe have like a member spotlight and just again see what people are what law students are doing and involved in around the country. I think that to continue to do things like offer practical advice in terms of non-traditional law paths. It is, the world is changing, and I know that a lot of my colleagues are non-traditional students, and so just maybe getting more into that area of material and content of like, what can you do with law degrees? What are alternatives to summer clerkships? What is out there? And then I think the third thing I would do is to kind of highlight local issues more, what's going on in various cities or on various points of law, and how students can get involved.
Thank you. One major priority for the law student division is to recruit more free and premium law student members, as you may know. And how do you think you can use, Kathryn, for the ABA publications to reach more students who aren't already members of the division and to get them interested in the ABA? To summarize the question once again, how can we use the ABA publications to reach more students who aren't already members and get them interested in the ABA as a whole?
So again, I think that just seeing, I know that anytime I see my friends in publications or things they are being recognized for, it makes me want to read that thing, or it makes me want to click on that article. So I think maybe seeing more students highlight it will draw people in. And I think just advertising more all of the benefits for an ABA premium membership. I mean, the outline bank, the access to different test prep materials, Barbary discount. They're just, you really get way more than your, I think, $25 you would think. And so I think that getting them in by having those, practical tips, people they know in the magazine, and then just highlighting that information more of what you get from the premium membership, it's difficult to turn it down, I think.
That's good. Thank you. And John, the same question. As you know, our major priority for the Law Student Division is to recruit more free and premium law students members. So how can we use the ABA publications to reach more students who aren't already members and to get them interested in the ABA?
Yeah, a couple ways. I think once we get, I guess as a preface, once we get students enrolled in free membership, then we can start communicating all the things that we are doing on their behalf, and that's when they can start becoming involved. Problem is that some schools don't auto-enroll all of their students, and so we need to work on that so we can begin communicating with them. But for those that don't, we have to use these outlets like the website, the blog, like the podcast, like the magazine, to make ourselves known. Once we do that, we need to be have a value add. So it needs to be something. Well, we already said premium membership, and Kathryn, you hit on it. It's a no-brainer. Everyone who is a free member should be a premium, if for no other reason, just because of the tangible money benefits that you get. $250 off Barbary, not to mention all of the other opportunities that will come about because of it. And Kathryn, like you said before, our generation, we get in movements, we want to make a difference, and if we show them that they can be engaged and make a difference for them and their classmates, I think that they'll want to do that.
Thank you, John and Kathryn. And this is a very simple question. John first, and then Kathryn. As you two know, we have some physical meetings where we all gather and meet, although we do weekly or bi-weekly all electronically. So the question is, does your schedule allow you to attend all of the meetings? Yes or no? John first.
Just a yes or no question?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And Kathryn?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you, Kathryn and John, for participating and carving out your time to talk to the members and assembly members. And before we go into the closing, I want to let you know that regardless of the result, and I hope you too, especially you two, stay active as members who are writing blogs or writing articles, as caucus members, caucus chairs, as well as other roles within the division, because obviously you two are very qualified and very passionate individuals. So I wanted to let you to know, and now we will go into last closing. Now Kathryn will start, and then John, 2 minutes each of whatever you'd like to say, last word, last remark for the assembly members. Kathryn?
Thank you. I think in closing, I would just like to, again, this has been a great experience so far. I've learned so much so far about the ABA and all that it does. I think that, like you just said, Thomas, I will absolutely still be involved win, lose, or draw. I think that I'm a good fit for the position because I have a lot of leadership experience in other areas, and I think all of those skills are transferable. I think that the things that I have, my previous positions, I've spent about 7 years working in social work, and one of the things that has carried me through other positions is just the ability to listen to others and really be a strong advocate. And so I absolutely plan to do that in this position. I'm excited to work with and meet other law students. I think that I bring a lot of fresh ideas and different takes and perspectives. Everyone, we all can bring that to the table. I think that just going forward, I think that it's important right now to kind of instill in law students that we are the change that we want to see in the world. And I think that highlighting those things while we're here, while we maybe have more time than we might in the beginning stages of our law careers, is important to let students know that we can make a difference where we are in your community, in your school, in your city, in your state. It doesn't have to take to the end of your career to really make some impacts. And I think that my experiences have taught me that, and that's something that I definitely plan to bring to the position.
Thank you very much, Kathryn. And John, 2 minutes of last remarks.
Yeah, and I want to echo what you said initially, Thomas. Kathryn, you are a very impressive law student, and I'm pleased to be on here with you. And I look forward to meeting you in New York, because I think we've got a lot in common and would hit it off. So best of luck to you as well. As far as the things that that I think are most important, again, I go back to the jobs. The universal bar exam expanded in states. The Law Student Division has been a leader on this, has gotten it passed through the House of Delegates, has expanded it. There's still a ways to go. Kentucky has not adopted it, and I'm working on it, but we need to do more so that when we, Rising 3Ls and others behind us, sit for the bar, we know that there will be a place that we can go to take a job, not just have to choose a jurisdiction and hope that there is a job waiting there after we pass the bar. Public service loan forgiveness, again, we need to know if that program is going to be in effect when we graduate, and those law students that have gone ahead of us that are already serving and relying on that, they need help. And so we need to clarify that for our membership now on what to do going forward. Paid externships give law students a chance to make a little bit more money to offset the cost of law school and student debt that we really need to address, which hits other things like mental health, which that's a big issue facing the legal community. And I think that's another part of it, is that this is a community. We're entering a profession And the ABA offers so many incredible people and experiences and opportunities, some of which I have already had, and many of which I will experience for the rest of my life. I am glad to have that experience, that network, to know how to navigate the system. The ABA is a big bureaucracy, and it is very confusing sometimes, especially in the House of Delegates where it's such a policy-driven position. It can be hard. So for me, I'll hit the ground running. There's no learning time or anything like that. I'll continue the work that I've been able to do serving you for the last year. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, John and Kathryn, and thank you all the listeners and voters. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the candidates as well as myself. And thank you once again. And this concludes this recording and the Q&A for Delegate of Communications candidates for ABA Law Student Division. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Thomas.
All righty. See you guys.
All right. Again, Kathryn, look forward to meeting you.
Yeah, see you in New York.
All right. Take care.
For sure.